welcome back to episode 14 of the 1977 GS750 Restoration project. Hope you're enjoying it. If you are, click on like below or even subscribe if you want to, so you see when new episodes are coming out. We're certainly getting to the fun part of this project and getting towards the end, which is exciting. So in this episode, we're probably going to concentrate on the brakes and a few other bits and pieces, and there's a bit of damage on the rear mudguard that we're going to try and fix, and so let's see how we go with all of that.
So this is the rear brake caliper, which I had sandblasted and powder coated. I've got new bleed nipples and nipple cap there. I've put a new O-ring in the piston there. Cleaned up all these nuts and bolts. I'll replace those O-rings that go on these bolts with ones out of my Aldi O-ring kit. And then got new brake pads as well, obviously. Put that back on the bike. Plan to replace all the hoses with braided hoses, so just looking into what I need to buy for that. And the rear caliper is coming together as well, also sandblasted and powder coated. New seals, new nipples, new nipple covers. Just waiting for the bolts to dry after painting, and then they can go back together as well. So here is the front caliper put back together with new seals, new pads, etc. On the front wheel. And here's the rear caliper put back together with new seals, powder coated, new nipples, etc. And the swing arm stay rod put into place. So it's all starting to come together. Next task is to restore the master cylinder. This is the original master cylinder that came with the bike, although it wasn't on the bike when I got it, but luckily the original is there. So I've sandblasted and put a clear coat over the alloy pieces. I've got a new fluid container, a new seal, and a new plunger kit. So let's put that together. So that's the new plunger kit installed. That was certainly much easier than getting the old one out, because the circlip is way down in the bowels there, and getting that out was very difficult, but putting it back in, much easier. Now I did order the replacement O-ring which goes around the base here. It basically seals off this plastic container that holds the fluid, but that O-ring is way too skinny. There's put that in the slot where it's supposed to go, and doesn't even come in and touch the side of this. So hopefully I can use one of my other O-rings. So luckily I kept the old O-ring, which seems in reasonable condition. So you can see here's what I was sent, which is a very skinny round O-ring. The one that you actually need is this square shaped one, and much thicker, which will actually seal off that to that. So a bit disappointing, but anyway, let's move on. So it's on now, but the original O-ring that I was trying to reuse had swelled up so much that I couldn't get the container in there. So I ended up using the one that I bought, and then sort of using sealant putty to try and seal around the bottom of this reservoir here. So we'll see how that goes once we get fluid into it. So now on to the rear master cylinder. So I don't have a kit for that one, but I think it was working okay. So we'll give this a bit of a restore and pull it apart, clean it, and put it back together. So the rear master cylinder is now sort of cleaned and back together. Didn't replace the seals, but as I say, it seemed to be working okay previously. Waiting for the braided hoses to arrive. One thing I did do is that the the cap on this one had all the text that was missing from the front one, so swap them over so that'll be a bit more prominent position, so that's a good score. So the chain is back on now. As I said, the sprockets and the chain are actually in really good condition, so it doesn't look like they've done very many miles at all, so that's back on. I've now adjusted the back wheel, so I've stringlined the back wheel rather than using the notches on the swing arm. That's usually a much better way of doing it. If you line it up as per the notches on the swing arm, it's usually quite crooked. So stringlining is the best way to go. If you want to know how to do that, I'm sure there's plenty of videos on YouTube showing you how to do that. Just make sure that the back wheel and the front wheel are perfectly in line. So this part of the rear mudguard has some damage on this corner. As you can see, that bit's just been snapped off at some point in its history, so I'm going to try to use some of this epoxy putty to reform that into some sort of a rough shape and then paint over it. So let's see how we go with that. So this stuff seems pretty good so far. I've just kneaded it up and put a big glob on there, and I've started to file it down to shape, and seems to be hanging in there and quite easy to file and shape, so hopefully we'll end up with something that looks like this side on that side. So this is it after shaping it to try and match the other side. I think it looks reasonable. So we'll slap some paint on there and see how it looks once it's all done. So there's the final product. Yeah, it's not perfect, but pretty good considering you know, what it was like before. So pretty happy with that. And done a restoration on the tail light and started to mount the tail piece, although I think once I put the wiring in I have to take that off to get a connection to the connected to the tail piece, but yeah, getting there. So this parcel just arrived this morning. I'm thinking, hoping that it's the brand new front mudguard for the GS. So let's have a look. Like it. Hopefully it's correct and not damaged. Wow. That's beautiful. It was expensive, but certainly worth it because it's certainly one of the first things you notice on the bike. So I'll install that later on this afternoon. Nice. So I've given the Airbox a sand and a paint with some black enamel, and the end caps, which are chrome in this case, are actually in pretty good condition, so I'll probably use them. On my original bike those were black, but I'll put these on. I think might change them to black later on, but they're in pretty good nick, so I'll use them. One thing that wasn't was the foam seal where the air cleaner seals, so I've cut out some foam, and I plan to install that up in there and glue that in place, and then that's another job off the list. So here's the finished air filter, complete with freshly oiled foam air filter inside, spray painted chrome covers, put it back on the end, and those rubber boots there are new ones that I bought a while ago, as the old ones were hard as rock and made putting it on very difficult. So it's another job complete. I've now restored the rear foot pegs. Had to do a bit of panel beating on them because they were tending to sort of sag a bit. So one of them I just had to panel beat the metal tube, and the other one I had to weld up the hole and re-drill the hole so that when they come down they're actually sitting quite flat. The rubbers are in good condition, so yeah, they're looking okay. Not that I plan to have too many people on the back of this bike, but just another item to tick off the list. So here's the new Mudguard on the bike. Very pleased with that. Very nice. Nice and shiny. The other one was, the original one was rusted underneath the chrome, so wasn't really repairable, as re-chroming is quite expensive. So yeah, I've just put the airbox on for the moment and the side panels just for a bit of a look, but yeah, all starting to come together. Next big job is the wiring loom, just looking at any repairs needed doing and rewrapping with some loom tape, etc. So get that in before I put the carbies and things back on.
Okay, so that's it for episode 14. I hope you're enjoying the series, as I say. Really getting towards the end of this project now, and the fun part. I can sort of see light at the end of the tunnel, and in some ways almost running out of things to do. Probably still waiting on a couple of things to ship. Probably the main thing is the exhaust system, which is coming from Italy. So that may be months and months away. The other major part is the new seat pan, because the seat pan underneath this one is all rusted away, even though the foam is okay, and I've got a new cover. So yes, as I say, hope you're enjoying it, and see you in episode 15.